Hi everyone. I'd like to say thank you first for the overwhelming response for my first Excel tutorial. Again, for those who haven't watched it, you can go on my channel or just YouTube 10 things you must know in Excel. And you'll see it's number one on the page. It's my first tutorial, and that's going to lead me to a second tutorial, the one that I've just prepared for today. I've received many questions and many compliments. Again, thank you very much. And I want to share some answers with you guys. So a lot of people responded with questions, and all the questions I've given people, all their responses, I've added together into, I collect things, and I decided to put together another one. So this is another video titled 10 More Things You Should Know in Excel. And these are 10 things that a lot of people wanted to know, and I wanted to make it easy to understand. So let me just go over the 10 things real quick. Now, if you watched the first video, then you should already be familiar with my style of teaching and also with my style of how I show things. And you should be comfortable with Excel because Excel is really a comfortable program. It's a really nice program. Let me delete my sample sheets because I was testing some stuff out right before preparing this. Okay, so the first thing someone asked me is, how do you combine text from multiple sheets? Um, I'm going to be showing that in that video, in this video. Also, people ask me how to add and subtract from multiple sheets, how to use find and replace in bulk, how to find out how many letters are in every word, how to capitalize the first letter of every word, um, how to capitalize every word altogether in general in Excel, how to make random numerical values just like we did before, how to add up random numbers in Excel, how to use the if function. And I had one particular question that I designed this for, and I'll show you guys. And then how to do exact comparison between words. And I know this may sound a little tricky. What is he talking about? Well, let me show you guys. So let's first start with um, combining text from multiple sheets. So as you know, when you open Excel, you have a workbook, right? And in the workbook, you have sheets. You can click down here and create multiple sheets. Now, what do you do when you have a sheet in here? And I'm just going to double click on the sheet and rename it. I'm going to name it S1, for example. And I'm going to create another sheet, and I'm going to name it S2. Now, what do you do when in S1 you have the word hot, and in S2 you have the word, let's say, dog. And I'm going to do that again here in S1. I'm going to add the word corn, and I'm going to add the word dog again in cell 2. So I have here a sheet with hot and corn, and then I have another sheet with two dogs. So now I want to get the word hot dog and corn dog. So how do I go about doing that? How do I get the text from these cells in sheet S1 and then get the text in sheet S2 and combine them together in a brand new sheet without copying and pasting 1,000 things? So there's actually a formula to do this. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it. I'm going to use the concatenate formula that I showed you in my other video. And I'm going to open up a brand new sheet called S3. And I'm going to write one simple formula that's going to basically reference these two sheets together. And I'm going to do that right now in cell A1. And I'm going to put in equals concatenate. And I'm going to basically put in parentheses the name of the sheet that I want to reference from, which in this case would be S1 because I just named it S1. And I want to reference cell A1. Now, I want to also add in here, I want to concatenate the second set, which is sheet S2, and I'm going to go over this as well. And this is going to be S2 A1. And let me just hit enter, and oh, hold on. I made a little error in my code. I forgot a parentheses at the end. Okay, and I got hot dog. And when I drag it down, I get corn dog. So let me just click on this and show you exactly what this means. So concatenate, as you know, combines two things together. And if you look at here, this is really the heart of this formula. You'll see here that I got here a parentheses, and I put in here S1 because that's the name of my sheet down there, S1. And then I'm specifying the cell A1, right? I'm telling it in A1 I have certain data that I want combined with A1 of sheet number 2, which is S2. So I can do this with as many sheets as I want. I could put a comma in here, put S3, and add another cell, right? So I can have a million things in here. So that, in essence, I hope you grasped it. I hope I'm not explaining too fast, but concatenate just means to put together. And then if you just copy the same exact formula I have in here, you'll see that I got here the sheet name, and then I'm specifying the cell I'm copying from. And then I want to concatenate to the sheet name, cell name that I want to specify again. And I'm putting these together, and that's how I basically got hot dog and corn dog. And this will keep going as I make the data. So if I go in S1 and I type in here, I don't know, let's break down here. I put here the word every, and then I go in S2 and I'm going to put here day. Or I'm going to go back in S1 and I'm going to put in the word hard. And in S2, I'm going to go put the word work. And when I drag it down, just like I showed you previously in my other video, when you drag down this little box with a formula in it, it's going to move the formula forward. So now you see that hot dog, corn dog, everyday, and hard work are all basically, added values from S1 and these values, and then S2 and these values. So that's a really big question that I got. A lot of people ask me this, how can I combine values? So that's basically touching up on this, how to combine values. And I'm also going to show you how to add values. So let me just mark this that I went over it. And now it's adding and subtracting from multiple sheets. So we're going to use the same formula because you have multiple sheets, right? So let me put in here numbers. Let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to put in here 4, 3, 2, 1, and S2. And in S3, because I have the concatenate formula, you'll see that I'm going to have 14, 23, 32, and 41 because it concatenated them, right? But what if I modify this formula now? What if I go in here and instead of saying concatenate, what if I say sum and I hit enter? You'll see that now it's going to add those numbers up for me. All the numbers actually add to 5 because 1 plus 4 is 5, 2 and 3 is 5, 3 and 2 is 5, and 4 and 1 is 5. So you see how it worked with math also just by changing it from concatenate to sum. Why do I have a hard problem saying that word? All right, so you get the idea. Sum does that. You can actually use sum, you can use average, you can actually do this with as many numbers as you want. See, I'm going to drag this even further down, and I have all zeros. But as I start populating this, and I'm going to put in here 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, right? And I'm going to go in S2, and I'm just going to put random numbers in there, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'll see that in S3 the formula has already started working, and it started making these numbers by adding up the values from S1 and S2. So that's really the idea. Just please remember this formula, that you can actually use any formula with this. What I really wanted to show you is how to reference both values in two separate sheets using this formula. So it's open paren twice, right? Apostrophe. Then it's going to be the sheet name apostrophe, exclamation mark, and then the cell, okay? I know this sounds confusing when I say it or when anyone says it, but if you look closely, you'll understand how this formula works. And again, it's a really powerful tool, especially when you're working with multiple sheets and you need to consolidate that data together and add it together to one thing. All right, so I'm pretty much done with this part. Let me just delete these sheets now because I no longer need them. And you'll see here I'm getting all errors because I deleted the necessary sheets, so it's gone. So that's how you add and how you subtract. So we use concatenating for combining text, and we used like sum, for example. I didn't put subtract, but you could use the minus sign and it would have subtracted. So that's basically how you do that. Very simple, very easy. So the third thing is find and replace in bulk. Now this is something very common that everyone should know how to do already, but I'm going to show again. Let's say I have a set of phone numbers. I have, let's say, 718-555-5556, right? I have a set of phone numbers. Oh, hold on. Why won't it let me copy to my clipboard? Okay, I have a set of phone numbers. And let me make this a 7, so I'll have many different phone numbers. Again, I'm using the same style that I used in my previous example. You see how I'm dragging down and I have a bunch of different phone numbers? So the question was, suppose you have a lot of characters in here that you don't want in this whole sheet. Like, you see these dashes? What if you want the phone number to appear like 718-555-5586 instead of having dashes, right? So just remember, when you highlight a cell, you have full control, I mean a column, you have full control over the column while it's highlighted, meaning nothing else will be touched except whatever you're highlighting, because this is a working selection. Again, this references the other video. We're talking about selections. So I'm selecting this, and I want to eliminate all the dashes from these phone numbers. Now, how do I go about doing that? Well, I'm going to hit Control F on my keyboard, and that's going to bring up the Find and Replace window in Excel. And I'm going to go to Replace, and I'm going to put in a dash, and I'm going to leave Replace with blank, meaning it's going to take out all the dashes and put nothing there because I'm not replacing it with anything. So when I click it, you'll see Excel is telling me that it made 60 replacements and all my numbers are now formatted. So this is good, I'll tell you why, because for example, in my company, some people put phone numbers in and they put letters in there like extension, blah, 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 or, call, Mary, Susie, or whatever inside of the phone number, and I want to eliminate everything, so I usually just go through eliminating certain characters, like find all the A's through Z's and replace them with blanks, and it's just a really useful tool. So I just wanted to quickly touch on that Control F will bring that up for you, and you can choose to replace everything. For example, I can choose to replace all the 7s with 8s. And take a look at what happened. So even if I have data adjacent to this, like next to it, it wouldn't touch that data. It would only replace where I highlighted because, again, I'm working with my active selection. So that's what I wanted to focus on. And let me move on to the next thing now. The next thing is how many letters are in a word. Okay, this is something also that I was asked, the length formula. The length formula is not really a formula, it's just a command. Let's say we have, again, I'm going to use animals, dog, cat, bird, lion, and rat. And I want to know how many letters are in each word. I can use the equals len formula. And I want to check how many letters are in the word in cell A1. And I'm going to drag it down. So see, dog has 3 letters, and I'm going to drag it down. Cat has 3, bird has 4, lion has 4. So this can become useful also. I'm not sure whether the person who asked me wanted to know about this, but again, this is how you count letters. For example, if I have a really big, like beautiful, for example, and off the top of my head, I don't know how many letters into here. It popped up because of my formula 9. There are 9 letters in the word beautiful. So it could be that you may one day need to do this. You may one day need to basically see how many letters are in the word for whatever reason. And just remember the formula. It's equals len. Len stands for length, right? So you want to know the length of a certain item. So I want the length of A6 and 9, right? So that's how to do it. So I hope this helps other people just like it helped the other guy. Let me mark this as complete as well. The next one is how to capitalize every word in Excel, and for that we're going to use the proper command, okay? Something I was asked before. Let's say I have hello, how are you doing, right? And let's say it's sentences with big words, and this is not formal English. Some could be capitalized, some not, and you want to make it nice and pretty. You're going to be using a command called proper. So it'll be equal proper, right? And in parentheses, you're going to put what you want to make proper. So in our case, we want to make hello proper, which is in cell A1. So I'm going to make A1 proper. And if you take a look, what happened just now is hello became proper, more or less. It capitalized the very first letter, and the rest it left lowercase. So when I drag it down, you'll see that the rest of my stuff, hello, how are you doing, now became properly spelled, more or less. It's funny that Excel chose the word proper for this formula. It's actually very, very cool. I really like it. And that's a really nice thing. So a lot of people that have data that doesn't look too great, maybe names of people, right? You're making labels, or you're working with certain type of objects like vehicle makes, or you're working with companies, and things are not capitalized properly. Instead of you having to go one by one and clicking and hitting Control D, and then, like for doing, and just working with a massive amount of tedious data, you can just simply use the proper formula. Very simple. I know it sounds easy when I tell you, but believe it or not, a lot of people don't know that this exists. Okay, so this is how we capitalize every letter in every word. I'm going to mark this as complete as well. And the next one is how to... I marked the same thing twice. 5 and 6 are how to capitalize. See, I got lost and confused myself. All right, so this will be 9 things instead of 10. All right, so let's jump into number 7. How to make random numeric values. There's another function in Excel called rand, R&D, and you can actually control up to what number you create random numbers. What I mean by that is you can say equals R&D, right, for R-A-N-D, rand. And you could say multiply times, right, 5, and it's going to give me random numbers up to number 5, being 5 is the highest number that it's going to randomize for me. So when I drag this down low, take a look, I'm getting a bunch of random stuff. So I used such a low number that I'm getting decimals here. Let me use a high number. Let's do 500, and then let's do what I showed in the other video. Let's format this and remove the decimal, right? So let's format these cells, and let's go to number. And let's make decimal 0. Now when I drag this box down, it's going to give me random numbers, all random numbers, up to 500. It'll never go past 500. Why? Because I specified in the modifying field, I call it modifier, that we don't want to go past 500. So take a look. Here's my numbers. And this is pretty cool because I previously I showed you how you can do 1, 2, and then just highlight both and drag it down, right? And let me just drag it lower. So you'll see how this all of a sudden gives you properly 1 through 34. But if you use that rand command, R-A-N-D, you'll get as many different random numbers as possible. So it's equals R-A-N-D, remember that. Parentheses, you always want to leave one paren and close one paren. Do the time sign. And then you give it a number. What is the maximum amount of number that you want random numbers to reach? So I could say 10, for example, right? And check it out. I can go down and pull it down, and I got a bunch of numbers. Now I have a lot of duplicates, and in my other video I explained that if you go to data and you click on remove dupes, we're able to pull. Unfortunately, it doesn't see numbers, it just sees the formula. So if I copy this, right, and for some odd reason I can't seem to copy the clipboard on my computer, which is weird. But if you paste this as values, and then format this, and let me format it down. Let me see if the remove dupes will work in this one. Continue with current selection, remove dupes. See, they're not duplicate values because they have decimals, so the remove dupe feature wouldn't even work on this. That's why if you're going to use this, I'm hoping you'll use a really large pool of numbers instead of like doing random numbers till 5, because you're going to get so many decimals. And you can't get a duplicate value because it's not going to give you duplicate values. It's just going to shoot you like infinite amount of numbers that are random. So that's really the highlight of this if you wanted to make random numbers. I'll show you what I mean by how this can be used for something. Let's say you have seats, right? So you can write seat, and here you can put equals. You could do equals rand, right? And then I'll give it times, let's say 10, no, times 100, right? And here I can concatenate this, and I could say seat, I can bring this lower, right? And I can do seat numbers, and then just give it random seats. I mean, you get the idea. There's multiple ways that you could use this, but the RAND command is just used for randomizing things, making random numbers. So I wanted to touch base on that. And done. And adding random numbers, I did go over this in my other video. I think I did at least in adding and subtraction. But let's say you have, we're dealing with currency here. I remember the person that asked me this too. Let's say you're dealing with currency. You have $10, you have $15, $20, $25, let's say 30, 35, 40, 45, right? And each thing is a different item. I don't exactly know the context of the spreadsheet, but let's say you have all of this here, and you only want to add certain amounts together. What you do is you would click on the AutoSum, which is on the top right corner. You could type equal sum, but I like AutoSum because when you click it, you can control click, right? And you'll be adding the different amounts together. See what I mean? So that's how you add random numbers. I typed it out for the person as well, but it's better to see visually, right? So AutoSum, if you do AutoSum right below this, it'll AutoSum everything, $220 total, 1 through 8. But if you were to AutoSum, let's say one cell below, and you hold down control, and then you click on what you want to sum, So that's really what I wanted to shoot at. So in case you want to add different things and you don't want to get caught with all the array of the entire bunch of numbers that you have, you can just control click different things in here. Let me just add these guys up, and you'll see I added $120 worth. In how many cells? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of my cells amounted to 120. And that's pretty much it for that. What else do we have in here? Oh, using the if function for numbers. Okay, this is another really cool one. Let's say, and let's go back to this example, where I have the money, right? Let's say I have 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100, right? And here, let me format this as currency as well. Okay, so now I have here 10 through 100 in denominations of 100. So I'm going to go here, right, to cell B, and I'm going to use something called if, right? I'm going to use a special formula called if. So when we go to the formulas tab on the ribbon on top, I'm going to click on logical, and I'm going to click on if. And then I'm going to get the argument window where I'm going to input logic for this command. If is a condition, right? If this is that, then do this, right? Based on a Boolean value, whether something is true or false. So I'm going to say if A1, right? If A1 is greater than 50, right? Then say bigger. If true, say bigger. If false, say smaller, right? That's all I'm saying. And I'm going to click OK. So I'm going to drag this down. And check this out. My if function basically just told me $10, right? So this is all smaller. This is all smaller than 50, while these are all greater than 50. They're bigger. So this is a really, really cool command, this little if function. When you click, remember, it's under logical, okay? And you can always type it in, but logical has an interface, which makes it really easy to type. So it's under the logical tab. It's the question mark on the purple book. And I'm going to select if. And again, I'm going to say something like A1 because I want to work, my logic is pertaining to the row A1 that I have value in. So I'm going to say if A1, again, I'm going to use the same, this time I'll say if A1 is greater than or equal to 70, if it's true, then say yes. If it's false, then say no. And I'm going to click OK. So 10 is not greater or equal to 70, and I'm going to drag it down one. 20 is not greater or equal than 70. I'm going to drag it down to 70. Now 70 is greater or equal to 70, therefore I have a yes. So if I drag it down more, I'm going to have a bunch of yeses because 70 through 100 is definitely greater or equal to 70. So you may ask yourself, where can this come in handy? What if this text was not, what if all these numbers were not sorted properly? What if I had additional numbers, hundreds of numbers in there, and I wanted to know certain things, like which ones pertain? Now you have logic, and that's the idea. The idea is for you to use your your formula, your logic, to figure this out. Whether something is greater than equal than something, whether something is you can use it for multiple things. I can't come up with anything off the top of my head, but this is a really good feature to know that I wish I would have included in my last video, but okay. And I'm up to the very last thing, which is the exact comparison. Exact comparison is just for text. It's actually a text formula, and it's used to compare two text values. So let's say I have here dog and dog, right? And let's say I have cat and cat, and let's say I have here puppy, and I'm going to write puppy again. And let's say I have lion, I'm going to write lion, and again I'm going to use the word mouse. Okay, so in a couple of these examples I'm going to misspell. I'm going to misspell something like mouse. Let me add an extra E, and then puppy, I'll add an extra P, right? So now I'm going to use the exact formula. Now what exact does, exact checks two values, and it tells you whether they're the same or not. Are these values exactly the same or are they not, based on a true or false or a yes or no kind of response. This is used to compare two different rows or two different types of cells, no matter where they are in Excel. Even if you use my previous example, you can compare data from two different sheets altogether on a brand new sheet. by using my previous formula, the one I showed, the very first one I showed here at the beginning of this video, and you're able to see if things match up exactly. Suppose you need like extremely, the same data, like exact data, right? So how to use this formula? You're going to write equal exact, and you're going to say check A1 and then check B1. See if they're exactly the same. And I got false because dog here has a lowercase d, while here has uppercase d. Now watch what happens when I make the uppercase d a lowercase d. It becomes true because they're exactly the same. So I'm going to drag this down lower, and you'll see here that lion and dog are spelled exactly the same, which is why they're true, while cat has a capital C, makes it doesn't compare, it's not exact. Puppy has an additional P, while mouse has an additional E, which means that they're false. They're not correct. And you can play with this data all day long, get different things with it. I'm going to sort this by column C to put all my false on top, and now I can work on them to fix them. I mean, there's multiple things that you can do. And this is really what I wanted to get at, to show you how to compare to text values. So that is a very important thing also, especially where you're working with data integrity and you want to make sure your data is always the same. And using the material in this video and especially the other video, I mean, these are things that can help you stay on top of your game, being organized or making things proper. Or I just wish I'd included this in my other video, because I kind of knew people would come up with questions, and I get questions every day, and I apologize if I don't get people in time. People can always email me at Elon@Dangerous Studio. It's my email address, and I'll be trying to make more videos. And I apologize that over here these two things were exactly the same. I didn't pay attention as I was making this. And that's it. So I guess that's it for the video. I hope this video also helped with other things. I appreciate you guys watching. I gained a lot of subscribers who message me a lot. Now, I'm always happy to help. I actually enjoy helping people and teaching a lot. So thank you very much for watching. And subscribe, and you'll see a lot of videos. I have a lot of things coming up. Mainly with Business Contact Manager, because that's what I work with a lot, CRM, Outlook, and I'm going to make another video about mail merging, and maybe I'll touch a little bit on OneNote, PowerPoint, and SharePoint. And that's it. So happy excelling to everyone, and thank you again. Bye.